Chapter 9 of The Haunted Island by E.H. Visiak. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Read by Ben Tucker. Chapter 9. Ouevery delivers up the chart. On the next day following, I got up betimes and went on deck. The ship lurched and pitched, so that I had much ado to keep my feet. We ran before the wind under our topsails only, driven ever onwards with the rolling long waves of the sea and the flying white scud-rack overhead. This all-moving prospect put strange thoughts and whimsies in my head, insomuch that I found I could not endure to look upon it for long together. And I presently returned into my cabin and read in a book until breakfast time. I sat down to that meal in sole company of Surgeon Burke, my brother not yet being up, and then I had news of Ouevery.
"'Tis the second time of bleeding the villain," says Burke, "and if you will pass me the poached eggs, I'll even show you how 'tis done."
"So you have carved him like a poached egg?" answered I, laughing, as I passed the dish to him. He provided himself with great liberality, and between munching of the eggs,
"Knives for eggs, and lancets for villains," says he. "There be your remedies, look you."
While he yet spoke, my brother entered and asked what he said about remedies. The surgeon, putting on a countenance of the greatest gravity, replied, "I gave your brother a very good remedy for gout in the great toe. Do you happen to suffer from the gout, Captain?" But Dick was out of humor for jest. "Tut, tut," said he testily as he sat down, and immediately after Ouevery entered the cabin. I looked at Burke, who made a grimace at me. Ouevery staggered to the table with much ado for the weakness he was under. He was in a most villainous temper, which the sight of me, be sure, did not serve to sweeten. He sunk heavily into a chair, and began to eat in sullen silence. This wrought on my brother, and he rapped out, "So you are in the sullens again, my man." Ouevery looked up dully and heavily, like a great beast. Then a terrible light came into his eyes, and he bounded to his feet with a roar.
"What?" cried he. "You speak to me? You... Oh!"
His speech was stopped with passion, but he caught up a great brass salver and cast it at my brother with all his force. It missed his head, and so narrowly that the hair was stirred upon his scalp, and on that, in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye, both men had drawn their pistols and fired across. My brother stood untouched, but the quartermaster gave a great, snarling, stricken cry, and, pitching forward upon the board, he lay there silent and still. The ball had pierced his breast in the upper parts, and he never spoke more. Only he fixed his eyes upon my brother, full of hate and of mystery, and he took from the pocket of his coat a leathern case, and thrust it forth before us. Then the hand of death closed upon Ouevery, and in a throe and convulsion terrible to behold, his spirit passed. But I took mechanically the leathern case, and opened it. There was a strip of parchment sewn between. 'Twas a seaman's chart. I turned to my brother, who stood holding the smoking pistol. His face was deadly pale, and when I spoke to him, calling him by his name, he laughed high and shrill like a woman. Hereupon Surgeon Burke gave him to drink a dram of brandy from his flask, which steadied him. When he recovered, my brother took the chart, and having observed it a while, he returned it to its case, which he put within the pocket of his coat, saying, "This is what I wanted. 'Tis the chart of the island, Burke. But what made him deliver it to me so? For revenge? But how can that be?" End of chapter 9.